Good afternoon and welcome to Euronews Now. It's Wednesday, the 1st of June. I'm Andrea Bolaitho, and these are your top stories this hour. Ukraine's governor of Luhansk says Russia now controls 70% of the city of Severodonetsk, the main Russian target at the moment. Ukraine starts prosecutions against some 80 Russian war crime suspects as the ICC says it's working to open an office in Kyiv. Denmark weighs the pros and cons of joining the European Union's defence policy in a referendum today.
Russian forces have taken control of most of the eastern city of Severodonetsk, but have not surrounded it. According to the governor of Ukraine's Luhansk province, heavy fighting is continuing in and around the key city. Civilians have also been warned not to leave bomb shelters after a nitric acid tank was reportedly hit by a Russian airstrike at a chemical plant just outside the city. Photographs appeared on the internet showing a pink cloud of smoke rising into the sky. Severodonetsk is the administrative centre of Luhansk region and has been the focus of Russia's offensive in Ukraine's eastern industrial heartland of Donbass. A governor in Donetsk has urged people who remain to flee and save your lives as more civilians die in bombings. An overnight rocket attack left at least 3 people dead and 6 wounded in the city of Slovyansk. In his late-night address, Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky said the country's military forces have had some successes near Kherson and in parts of Kharkiv region, but that Ukraine's win depends on the supply of modern artillery. The Biden administration appears to have had a rethink and, although is still refusing to send long-range weaponry that could escalate the war with Russia, is now promising to send medium-range rocket systems. And the first cargo ship has been allowed to leave the now Russian-controlled port of Mariupol under escort. It's said to be carrying a supply of metal and was headed for Russia. Ukraine has accused Moscow of looting and of theft.
The European Union is defending its fresh embargo on Russian oil despite watering down its agreement last night. Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban's demand for concessions eventually won the day, with the ban only applying to seaborne oil imports and not oil received via pipeline. Critics also point to the time frame for phasing out Russian oil by the end of this year. They say it gives the Kremlin too much time to continue waging war in Ukraine. However, French President Emmanuel Macron is standing firm in his defence of the agreement.
2 months ago, no one thought the sanctions on Russian oil would be possible. And many leaders were in front of you saying, "We will never touch oil and gas, that's for sure." This is why the 6th package is historic. We have decided in a very clear way to sanction now and to get out of Russian oil as soon as possible. And the exemption measures that have been decided are for the states that are very dependent, whose refineries cannot be converted too quickly and which do not have access to the sea.
EU leaders met for a summit in Brussels where they approved a 6th package of sanctions against Moscow for its invasion of Ukraine. A looming food crisis exacerbated by the Kremlin's war was also on the table. And European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen took a moment following the meeting to deny Russian accusations and remind people of how we arrived at this situation.
The fact that there is a severe food crisis developing is only the fault of Russia's unjustified war. Without this war, we would not have it. And we should always, over and over, repeat that. Russia is not only blocking the export of Ukrainian wheat, it is bombarding warehouses where wheat is stored deliberately.
Russian gas is the last remaining key energy source untouched by European sanctions. So the next question for EU leaders when it comes to Russia will be whether to deliver another damaging blow or not. Christopher Pidge's Euronews, Brussels.
EU leaders have finally agreed on an embargo on Russian oil. The compromise carved out includes the phasing out of seaborne oil, while there's a dispensation for oil from the Druzhba pipeline, which services Hungary, the Czech Republic and Slovakia. This represents around 10% of all EU oil imports. It means that by the end of the year, Europe will be buying 90% less oil from Russia. What will it mean for the financing of Russian aggression in Ukraine?
This is going to be a big deal for Russia. It's going to be a big deal because for Russia, it will not be so easy to replace the European market with other buyers. There are a number of bottlenecks in the infrastructure that make difficult a redirection of the oil flows. Domestic oil infrastructure in Russia, the capacity of the ports to increase the shipments, the capacity to find all the tankers required to do that, and also the fact that sending these tankers to Europe takes much lower time than sending them to Asia.
It took nearly a month to get the deal over the line, with Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban making the loudest objections. It's still not clear how long this exception for Hungary will last. In addition, Poland and Germany can avail of a special phase-out of Russian oil until the end of the year, as they both use the northern part of the Druzhba pipeline. This has led to some criticism.
Germany, especially the German government, has been doing a great job in getting rid of their dependencies from the Russian oil, and that's why we hoped that the stop of Russian oil imports would be more immediate. Some said even, by the end of summer. Now it's by the end of this year.
The EU sends Russia around 20 billion euros a month in oil revenue, so the package will account heavily for that. Shona Murray, Euronews, Brussels.
Efforts to prosecute Russians responsible for atrocities in Ukraine are moving fast. The International Criminal Court plans to open an office in Kyiv, and 3 countries, Estonia, Latvia and Slovakia, have joined the joint investigation team that will coordinate the exchange of evidence through Eurojust, the EU's judicial cooperation agency. They face a massive task.
In Ukraine for today, near 15,000 cases only about war crimes. Just think about it. Only 15,000. Tomorrow will be extra 200-300. Actually, now in this category of cases, we have near 80 suspects, 80 people whom we can start to prosecute.
Ukraine has already tried 3 Russian soldiers for war crimes. On Tuesday, 2 were sentenced to 11.5 years in prison for shelling civilian buildings in the Kharkiv region on the first day of the invasion. Both pleaded guilty. Earlier this month, another soldier was sentenced to life imprisonment for killing a civilian.
People in Denmark started voting on Wednesday in a referendum on whether or not to abandon the country's opt-out of the EU's common defence policy. The poll comes as a result of Russia's invasion of Ukraine, and Denmark is, like other European countries, seeking closer defence links with allies in response to the events. The Prime Minister, Mette Frederiksen, has publicly stated her intention to vote to end the opt-out, which, she says, would be a strong show of solidarity with Ukraine. But some other parties, such as the Red-Green Alliance, would prefer the opt-out to remain in place. The vote comes on the heels of neighbouring Finland and Sweden's historic applications for NATO membership, as the Ukraine war forces countries in Europe to rethink their security policies. The latest opinion poll from the 31st of May showed 44% would say yes to scrapping the opt-out, 28% no and 19% undecided. The majority of the lawmakers in the Danish Parliament recommend a yes vote.
We're going to take a quick break now. Still to come on Euronews Now, more top stories from Europe and the rest of the world. Stay with us.